I've been hit by an ultimatum, I gotta get my life together. They say when it rains it falls, the sunshine don't shine forever. I've been hit by an ultimatum, I gotta get my life together. They say when it rains it falls, the sunshine don't shine forever.
You have every right to be concerned about your dad's well-being.
Well, you know what they say about bad company corrupting good character, don't you? Now, he's been lingering around my dad like a bad smell for days. I need to find a way to nip this in the bud to make my dad want to stay clear of him for good.
I'll see what I can do.
Thanks. I'm dependent on you. Blimey. That was me thinking that it's strange seeing some snowfall in November. Then I realised it's snowing because you're not wearing red. Well, sometimes you just gotta change, ain't you? So how you feeling? Hopefully better than yesterday. Yeah, listen about it. I apologise, you know. Just going for a bit of a rough patch at the moment, that's all. Anything I could help with?
Yes, Courtney Walsh, you're a bad man. Hey.
Hello?
You alright?
Have you got a minute?
You don't seem he's watching the cricket, man.
Cricket? What are you watching that rubbish for? Far more entertaining watching paint dry.
But you wrong walking to a man yard and expect him to turn off the cricket, you know.
Point taken, Winston. Never disrespect a man in his own house. I just thought that you might be interested to know how I got on, that's all. So what? You got a bit of proof that Virgil's got the reputation to have sticky fingers every now and then? It's hardly the crime of the century, is it? I mean, have you seen the price of things nowadays? It's called looking out for our dad. Now, when a source of mine comes back with some more dirt on Virgil, I'd have enough evidence on him to put him away and make Dad think twice about even sharing the same air as him. Did it ever occur to you that Dad might actually like his company? You know, considering the fact that most of his friends are passed on. But if I'm lucky enough to reach Dad's age and find out that one of my friends is a bit of a shoplifter, you really think I'm going to choose to be a Billy no-mate, so rather no friends at all? Why don't you get it? What happens when Dad starts forsaking his own morals for the sake of pleasing Virgil? People who are influencers, Mike. Dad is not strong enough for character in his old age to take the lead and be the wise one all the time. Let's not forget that I once had to talk him down from a bridge. You know what it is, don't you? It's discrimination. Because I guarantee you, if my skin tone was the same colour as that Danny Dyer's, they'd have bought my story.
Well, it is not every situation you're supposed to play the race card, you know.
Now hold on a minute. Whose side are you actually on? You do know that both of us would have benefited if they had bought the story, don't you?
The press didn't dig it for a reason, Virgil.
And what reason might that be? Go on, tell us, I'm dying to know.
Did you ever take into consideration how the family of that boy would feel if they was to read this story in the newspaper?
Well, they get further insight of how much of a monster the boy's dad was, I know that.
Well, surely their mind was made up about him when him did get locked up. The point of the matter is, you cannot justify your actions when you did intentionally get behind the wheel to hurt the boy.
Oh, give over. I was driving a milk van, not a bloody Ferrari. A Ferrari strikes to kill. A milk van strikes to send a warning shot.
Then what you mean?
Franklin, the boy's dad, of course. You know, it just might spare the next inmate the trauma of what I had to go through. I mean, for all he knew, I could have been either the son or nephew of the member of the mafia. And who's to say that his next potential victim won't be? Well, I'm sorry, there's no way that I'm going to start dictating to Dad who he can and can't have visiting him. You know, it's funny that. Because only a few months ago, you were quick to put him out on the street for bringing birds back to the gaff your age. Look, now that's where you're wrong. Look, most people move on when their partners have passed away. Mum's been dead for 5 years, I get it. But what I didn't find acceptable was the fact that the last girl that I seen leave Dad's room was one of my exes.
You don't remember say you did tell me it was easy money? So how am I supposed to believe that you did this for the sake of somebody else?
And what did you actually think I was? Some kind of junkie with a plan to shove the earnings up my nose? Because I'll tell you, the only drugs I've ever associated with were the ones prescribed to me. And they were my antidepressants.
No, I'm not a man that like to dwell on no things, you know. But remember, say you did short pocket me £1,000 before.
Because I wanted to secure a roof over me head, Winston. Do you know, ever since back last May, when I was released from jail, I've been between sofa surfing with friends, B&Bs, and I'll share, and my current situation. Sleeping in a shed at an allotment. Do you remember that kid called Alex Riley? Of course I do. He's one of my best friends at secondary school. Until Dad stopped you from hanging around with him because he found out what company he was knocking about with outside of school. Now look how he turned out. Regardless of his dad being a pastor, he still turned out to be a killer. Now I dread to know what your turnout would have been if Dad hadn't been looking out for you the way he did back then. Alex participated in that one tragic incident because he was influenced by his friends and never had that voice of reason to remind him of the consequence of his own actions. Now, he might have been a kid, but what's that same mum always used to say? Once a man, twice a child. Now, our Dad is in the latter stages of his life. That makes him a child all over again, theoretically. He still needs to be looked out for.
Why you tell me say you were staying in the shelter?
Of course I did, because I was embarrassed, Winston. I mean, look at me. Most girls wouldn't touch me with a barge pole. Do you know the last time I went to barbers, Boris Johnson was throwing private parties whilst we was all on lockdown. I'm so broke that I couldn't afford the O and the R to put on the end of PO to make Paul.
Did you get in touch with the council?
Of course I have. That won't waste of time. Find a job, they said. Right. With my criminal record, give over. Wouldn't make no difference if I had a full-time job anyway. Like my friends that I was staying with when I was sofa surfing.
Then what you mean?
The landlords decided to put the rent up. Now, we got Alexander, who's living in a caravan with his missus and 2 kids. Both of them are working full and part-time jobs, by the way. All because their landlords were greedy bastards with no compassion for those feeling the crunch of the crisis from the living expenses. So no, the money that I would have accumulated.
Is accumulated, you mean?
That's the one. So no, the money that you said I would have got from the story was not for any drugs or drink. Because the only thing I am addicted to is your jerk chicken.
Well, there will be no jerk chicken today.
I was just making a point, that's all. The same man that you're given permission to just turn up at your gaff uninvited. And now they step right in without even knocking. Yeah. That's the same guy that swiped $1,000 out of Dad's bank account. Now what's to say that he won't steal from Dad again? Steal from you. At any given opportunity. With enough influence Virgil will have our dad right in his palm. I've made a lot of bad choices through my life that I'm not proud of. But should that deprive me from having a normal life, like I once did? You know, to be able to do normal things like go to barbers every 2 weeks for a trim. You know, taking my missus to the cinema, or for a curry on a Valentine's Day, or waking up to her in a nice warm bed on a Christmas morning to stuff our faces with lots of Christmas dinner and boxes of Quality Street. Most homeless people like me are living in the street. I am breaking into the same shed night after night to avoid seeing those happy families walking down the street, carrying their Christmas shopping, living the perfect life. When I was in jail, hopes of me and Sophie achieving all of that were the only thing that kept me going. If it weren't for the possibility of seeing that monster once again, I'd be willing to go back inside. Just so I could be guaranteed 3 meals a day and a pillow to lay my head on at night. Part of me thinks maybe it would be easier if I wasn't there at all.
If a man's desire to work through his problems is greater than his desire to jump off a bridge, he stand a chance of survival.
Now listen to what I'm telling you now, Virgil. As long as I have anything to do with it, you will not be seen in prison in either the streets, the shed, or in prison. The sunshine don't shine forever.